you got diagnosed as a kid?
So once when I was like 15 or 16 and then a second time when I was 26, you're going to start thinking, hold on, I can't pay attention to anything for more than 15 seconds. And I remember reading the pamphlet, here's how you know you've had an overdose.
Hey everyone, it's Matt. Welcome back to On The Mend, the show that looks back on life's toughest moments to learn how to move forward. Listen, this time of year can be brilliant. It can also feel absolutely chaotic. So if you're here because you need a bit of you time, you're in the right place. And something really cool has been happening recently. Loads of new people are discovering On The Mend. They're sharing episodes, tagging us. Honestly, it bloody means the world. So because so many of you are new, we wanted to bring back one of the conversations that long-time listeners still talk about today. It's with Jordan Stevens. I mean, it's one of my favourite episodes we've ever released. It's honest, it's emotional. It's one of those episodes that stays with you. Let's get into it. He's a good lad.
Talking about ADHD, you got diagnosed as a kid?
Yeah, so twice. So once when I was like 15 or 16 and then a second time when I was 26.
That's quite ADHD to have to get diagnosed twice.
Well, the first time I didn't really care. I didn't like take it that seriously.
Because when was that? How old are you now?
32.
32. So this is at a time when ADHD wasn't necessarily being as talked about as it is now, right?
Well, it was talked about for boys, and I think it still is most prevalent in single parent, low income households.
Yeah.
Boys, which lends itself to more of the research that Gabor Mate has been making around having the propensity for ADHD, but it's actually your environment that really kicks it into gear. That makes a lot of sense to me.
It makes so much sense to me. I think so many things are multifaceted, like with addiction and everything, they say it's genetic, but I think it's environmental as much as it is genetic.
Well, actually, to your point, when you said about the popularity of ADHD, I find that fascinating because there's now, understandably, people who think maybe ADHD is a bit of an excuse. Maybe people are just saying because they want to be part of something. But I think logically, there's going to be some massive crossovers of people who were previously neurotypical into a world of screens and pressure and attention. And you're going to start thinking, hold on, I can't pay attention to anything for more than 15 seconds.
Absolutely.
This is falling into what I previously understood as an attention deficit disorder. So now, of course, there's a bunch of adults being like, well, I've got ADHD. It's like, you may well have developed an attention deficit disorder.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So, but
that's fascinating. I've never thought about that, but that's so fucking true.
Well, because there's it's like 8-month waiting list on the NHS to even be diagnosed.
Yeah, one of my friends has been on it for 2 years.
Yeah, the medication is through the roof because obviously Big Pharma are fuckers.
Yeah,
and they know exactly what's happening, so they thought to charge everyone more. There's loads of pressure for people to feel this sense of understanding of why they're struggling to cope with their attention spans, and because this world, the environment, the speed of development and technology is too much for our brains to handle, I think. So. But back then, there's only one little screen, maybe if you're lucky, on your Sony Ericsson. And I didn't pay much attention to it. Had our career, and then it was only. But also, it's like
ADHD. It's like, okay, cool. What do I do about that?
Yeah, right.
It's like cool.
It didn't. I didn't like school. Like I said, I didn't like school anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't stopping me making music and doing what I loved. So, and then when I was 26, it was incidental because I was getting a psych exam for a TV show.
Right.
And then I got re-diagnosed.
Okay, so you're getting a psych exam for a TV show, and they were like, whoa, you need to look at this.
Yeah.
And what was that like to hear?
Well, they asked me, I guess they did they have to run like a full checkup.
Yeah.
And then in the checkup, they're like, do you have any previous diagnoses? And I was like, oh, well, when I was 15, they said I had ADHD. And they were like, oh, what have you done about that? And I was like, well, nothing, but I do self-medicate.
Yeah.
and they were like, with what? And I was like, oh, this thing I bought off the internet. Like, let's take you to a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Maybe let's have a look at that.
Yeah.
And what was that thing you're self-medicating with?
Oh, it's a thing called modafinil.
Right.
Did we not talk about this?
No.
Oh, right. So, it is a funny story, which I do include in the book. Basically, I went to this guy and he sat me down and we spoke for a bit and he was like, okay, I mean, you clearly have some disorder, you have ADHD, by my opinion, what do you do about it? And I went, well, my hacker friend told me about these drugs called modafinil. And he went, oh, modafinil is actually a recognised
ADHD drug?
Yeah, medication for it. How much do you take? And I went, sometimes 2 pills a day, but it varies. And he went, okay, how strong are the pills? And I went, 200 milligrams each. And I remember he just went quiet.
Yeah. And so you're taking up to 400 milligrams of, I've heard modafinil, but modafinil.
Modafinil. And he was like, 400 milligrams a day. And I went, sometimes. And he went, okay, we're going to get you on this thing Concerta. And then he writes the prescription. And I remember it so vividly. He gave me the prescription. I looked at it and it says 16 milligrams. And I was like, 16 milligrams? I was like, and then I remember reading the pamphlet and it said like, here's how you know you've had an overdose.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this season. If you want even more from On The Mend, hit follow wherever you get your podcasts. Right, back to the action.
And it was like dry tongue, profuse sweating, and it was like all the things that I thought meant the modafinil was kicking in.
Was working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by those metrics, I'd basically been overdosing on
every day
modafinil for like 18 months.
Oh my God, mate. You know, how was sleep?
Yeah, I'd get stoned in the evenings and
just hope for the best.
But there were signs. Now I think back, there's obviously signs that it was too intense.
Yeah,
but I was just doing so much work, Matt.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
so productive.
I was
like...
so bro. I taught myself to make beats. I made like a one-man show. I was just on smoke, but I didn't like really socialize. That wasn't able to really connect with anybody on an intimate level.
Yeah, you know, I flirted with modafinil for a while, and I found it. This is before I got diagnosed with ADHD, because
everyone's called it the limitless drug, didn't they?
Yeah, and I heard about this thing, and I was like, well, you know, it's not habit forming. Okay, great, I can take this. Right,
it's not habit forming.
That's what someone told me. That's what I read. You know, I look for information that confirms what I want.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, great, I can take this. You know, and dude, like, I felt like, I mean, I've never done so much in my life.
Really,
you know, like, I mean, in a short space of time, all of it was bollocks.
Right,
you know, but I did loads of it.
Same.
You know, but I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't. Emotionally connect with anyone. You know, like I felt like a bit kind of trapped within my own kind of productivity in a way.
Literally that.
Yeah.
Literally that? Yeah.
And
and then I battled with the reality of me being less productive.
Absolutely.
When I started to medicate more, like I guess
sensibly,
responsibly.
Yeah. And you've talked about addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and you've kind of talked about your experience with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, so when did you first kind of notice that might be a problem? Before the kind of modafinil?
Yeah, well, no, modafinil was to take me off coke. That was the real, because my cocaine use became a problem when I started doing it at home.
Yeah.
You know, initially it was a coping mechanism for dealing with how intense the places I was being asked to go to were.
You know that feeling when you wake up and it's like you've slept, but you're still knackered? Well, I used to blame the kids, the late nights, my busy schedule, basically everything but what I was actually sleeping on, my mattress. Turns out that was a problem all along. When you're trying to rebuild yourself as a husband, a dad, a mate, whatever, you learn that good sleep isn't just a luxury, it's what you need to fill those roles. So over at On The Mend, my podcast, we switched to Simbra, hybrid mattress. We chose this mattress as we learned the hybrid layers adapt to your body, keep you cool and give you proper support. All of this helps so much when you're waking up refreshed and you're not dragging yourself through the day. So you can become a better version of yourself through the power of sleep. Simba's won over 100 sleep awards and 6 Which Awards. Best buys, and I get why. You get over a 200-night free trial, a 10-year guarantee, and flexible finance options. So there really isn't a risk, and you'll get to see how amazing you really, really sleep. Honestly, it's amazing how much better life feels when you're well rested. Head to simbasleep.com/on the mend and give yourself the rest you deserve.
Yeah.
Again, as you'd know, it was surreal.
Confidence in your pocket. And power in your pocket.
Yeah. But I used to have this compulsive thought when I would be out at an event where, because it was so quick from me and Harley playing at our mates, like, you know, prom
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know, at one of the gigs. We did one gig underground to like 35 people, you know, and that was like the best night of our lives. And then suddenly we're like, you know, all over Radio 1. And then we're getting invited to events with people that I'd literally just watched on telly with my, you know what I mean? You got like Jimmy Carr's knocking about, or like I'll be playing FIFA and then like Daniel Sturridge is just like stood in this event looking at me going like, oh, I love your new song. What is happening?
Yeah, man.
So I'm just like, I can't cope with it. And it was exciting, but I had this compulsive thought where if I said bye to someone, I was just remembering this now, I would obsess over like whether or not I said bye in the right way to myself.
Oh my God.
So it'd be like, if I shook their hand, I'd be like, was I supposed to shake their hand? Or like, or give like a, you know, the kind of like more like chill version of like cup in the hand and then a slap on the back or a hug, or if I said, why did I say see you soon? Why would I say see you soon? I don't know if I'll see them soon. You know, great to meet you. Maybe I've already met. Loads of like, and I would go. And the only time that didn't happen was on one of these nights when someone gave me a line, and then I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so it became that you know, that barrier between me and like perpetual overthinking.
Yeah.
But again, you know, everyone in London was doing it. Everyone in London, I hope, isn't still doing it, but they probably are.
Yeah.
Especially in an environment, it's this kind of community loneliness, you know. And then,
well, that's really amazing. It's a community loneliness.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wow.
And so, but then it was like I'd come home, maybe a little early, or maybe I was at home and I'd order it in, but I was on my own, and I'd think like, maybe I'll do a cheeky couple here, and then I'd be like, oh, there's that idea I had yesterday, and bang.
Yeah.
I'm writing like a story or a script. That's when it became a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, oh, I can create. I'm focused now.
Yeah, I'm functioning.
On this.
When did that stop?
Yeah, so
what was the
I was
moment?
doing a lot of coke, and then there was a couple of instances where I was like, okay, this is obviously a problem. There was one point where I like, you know, threw up and like had all this like profuse sweating. It was like not cool. It was, then I managed to get modafinil and I kind of started to come off it. I'd have spurts of going back on it just like for fun times.
Yeah. What were those fun times like? Did they carry through?
They would always every time I would go on these kind of druggy, you know, kind of sniffy times, I would almost always end up destroying the intimate relationships I had at the time.
Yeah.
And that is why this book's been written, and that's why I keep saying this, because it is such a great way of looking at things. But Alain de Botton, I'm pretty sure, is the guy who said that intelligence is pattern recognition, you know. It spans all departments. Like pattern recognition could be talking about, you know, a gardener, a landscaper, and it could also be talking about a footballer, it could be talking about a builder, it could be talking about a mathematician. Yeah. You know, it's just recognizing patterns within your discipline. Yeah. And that's the best way to look at emotional intelligence.
And it's music as well.
Music,
everything.
Patterns, rhythm, right? Yeah. And then with emotion, it's like, I am making the same mistakes. I'm noticing a pattern of my own behavior. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
That is essentially what emotional intelligence is.
Absolutely.
Or recognizing someone else's patterns of behavior and thinking, you know, is there a way I can interact with this or avoid it? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or do I need to interject here? Which is another big thing.
Yeah. I mean, slightly more complex that one.
Very more complex, yes.
But yeah, so I'd been like, okay, every time I go out and destroy myself with drugs, I destroy the relationships I'm in. That's not really working for me, so I'm going to have to go sober. And I did. This was the final point, this heartbreak I experienced, where someone held a boundary, rightfully, and forced me into reconsidering my bullshit. And, you know, I made healthier choices and I'm better for it, you know. And actually, interestingly, just going back to the creative thing, one of the first things that happened when I went sober was I had writer's block for a year.
Really? Right.
Which was horrible.
Yeah, man, that's fucking horrible. And you're like, oh, I've got this little creative power that I could go to.
And obviously my ego is saying to me, well, you need to get mashed up, otherwise you're not going to be able to write.
Oh my God, man, I know that so well.
And my therapist is there going, I promise you, if you sit this out, you'll be able to create from a place of love. My therapist said it to me all the time. You can create from a place of love.
Yeah.
And this, so regardless of what people think or what it does, whatever, like this for me now is a solid representation. I wrote this, I think I was only even on ADHD meds for maybe like 10% of this book. So ultimately, 90% of this book was written completely just me, clear, no nothing, no. I was smoking cigarettes, but that's it.
Yeah.
And now I know there's no excuses.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's wild.
The ego can't fight me now because I'm like, look at this.
Absolutely,
you
man.
can't tell me I've got to take
also,
anything.
you know, for someone with ADHD to sit down and write a book, you know,
I know.
wow.
It was
for me to read a book is fucking hard enough, you know.
Hard.
So, you know, so to write one.
But I've also written this in a way that is like my ADHD brain.
Yeah.
So I look forward to you trying
definitely.
it. And I wouldn't even. I'm
an audiobook guy.
Right, fair.
You know, because I'm like, if I sit down to read, I have to read things over and over again because I'm just like, I've fucking not listened to the last 3 pages. I'm like, where am I? You know, I'm so bad at it.
So in this book, I barely use any commas.
Right.
Because for me personally, if I read and there are too many commas, I daydream.
Right, yeah.
So in this book, I interrupt, like I break, you know, I guess grammatical rules.
Great.
Because I want it to be jarring because I have to remind myself to keep waking up. So there's full stops everywhere. Bam, 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 bam.
Great. Bosh. Point. Move on.
Yeah, literally.
Great. Love it. I want to talk a little bit about social media, right? Because I'm talking a lot about this at the moment because I'm getting talked to about it quite a lot.
Okay.
Right. I have a really weird relationship with it, right? Because I've kind of fought against it for ages, you know, and then I get fucking sucked in.
Right.
You know, and like people have this really kind of like warped opinion of it, you know, like and I think we can point fingers at people that are on it too much and all this kind of stuff, you know, and like, especially with ADHD, right? It becomes like a real kind of like weird kind of like I don't know. I'm struggling with it, you know, if I'm honest, you know, like
your usage of it.
My usage of it, you know, and also like I'm trying to tame myself with it. Everyone's like, oh, you can do without it. I'm like, I can't really do with that, you know, like it's part of everything I do, you know, so it's a really weird kind of thing. How do you deal with it?
I've tried to post more recently because of the book, but outside of that, I am an elusive poster, which, you know, if we're going to be black and white about it, like it does have a negative impact on my career. Like that's just something I'm willing to accept.
Right, okay,
You know,
so you're willing to accept that.
Well, you know,
because I get told this all the time. I'm like, Matt, you're terrible at this. You need to be better at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not in me.
It just depends what I have to ask myself what I want and what I need.
Yeah.
I know what happens when you get a certain amount of followers and what kind of conversations you can have and how much you can leverage that for income. And I guess there is some younger audiences that have lived and existed in a world with only social media, so they're expecting to know everything.
Yeah.
Ever feel like you're burning the candle at every end? That was me on tour, back-to-back shows, brutal travel, barely any recovery time. And let's face it, I'm not 25 anymore. I mean, my body was like, mate, what are you doing? So before the next leg, I switched things up and started taking Vitals by Heights. Just 2 capsules a day, packed with 20 essential nutrients for brain and body, omega-3s, B vitamins, D3, all the good stuff. I mean, Heights has massively transformed the way I tour. I used to have trouble sleeping, not be able to fall asleep, be wide awake for hours, or fall asleep, wake up in the middle of the night, not be able to get back to sleep, then have to do a whole new day the next day, feeling pretty groggy. You know, Vitals has changed that for me. This isn't some gimmick brand either. Heights is formulated by doctors, backed by science, and trusted by elite performers. There are literally thousands of 5-star reviews to go along with it, right? If you want to simplify your routine and feel your best, head to heights.com/OTM and use the code OTM20 for 20% off your first subscription. Trust me, you'll feel the difference.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I have to sit with myself and ask myself how I feel engaging. At the moment, I don't really like scroll through other people's stuff. I just kind of post and keep it moving. My friends are near the top of my feed, so I kind of have a look at that. Sorry, we're talking about Instagram here.
Yeah.
TikTok, I love.
Really?
Yeah, I do love TikTok. I'm not, but again, I'm very fortunate where I'll be on TikTok intensely for maybe like an hour max.
Yeah.
Sporadically, and then I kind of leave it.
I haven't taken to TikTok.
It's
because first I think I made a good mistake. First time I went on it, I watched a pimple popping video.
Oh,
right,
dude.
so all I get whenever I go on it is like gruesome, horrible fucking videos. I'm like, I don't like it here.
No
it's gonna
thanks.
come off. You know, so
thanks.
I don't follow anyone really. You know, I followed the first couple.
Well, you
of people
have to
that followed
keep going for it to adapt its algorithm.
I know.
And I've ended up in some. I've ended up with some incredible TikTokers. Just
really,
just because I've ended up in this weird kind of philosophical space where people are just creating these 4 or 5 minute videos dissecting the human condition, like philosophically.
Wow. Great. I need to find these people you're telling me to follow because I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, well, there is. Yeah, and you know, they're kind of. It's an older demographic, and I don't know. I think it's an interesting tool. It's like, for me, TikTok's like the pinnacle of social media. You can't really do any more than that.
Yeah.
But it's down to us to really understand, you know, the effect that has on us. If I'm going on Instagram and like Instagram stories used to piss me off because I'd go on an Instagram story, see an event that happened the night before, and get FOMO, but it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Like it's done.
It's gone. It's done.
I'm looking at the past and it's upsetting my present. It's ridiculous,
mate. Exactly.
So if I feel that, then I have to delete the app.
Yeah.
You know, I have to delete the app and then I have to, you know, people should take breaks more. I don't know, man. It sucks the effect it's having on art especially.
Have you heard Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt?
No.
It's a book that I've recently started listening to, and it's kind of Jonathan Haidt it's fucking amazing. It's talking about like the state of kind of kids and like anxiety and kind of what social media is doing to them. You know, what it's doing to youth is obviously not good, right? You can't look at this in any other way than it's then it's damaging people,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, but this is not going away, you know? So like, what do you do about it?
I mean, yeah, I know it's a tough one. It's just human beings have negative bias, right? So we're drawn to shock. We're drawn to horror, you know, and that can be exacerbated to a different degree on social media.
Yeah.
I would, if I had, you know, if my career wasn't dependent on people seeing what I'm doing, I wouldn't be on social media. Facts.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think twice. I'd maybe have a little burner on TikTok to see the philosophical videos, but other than that, you know, and I think people, you know, if it is too much, like what really is your peace of mind worth? If you lose a couple of jobs for however much money, is that worth feeling like you're missing out, comparing yourself? Like, it's horrible what that does. People need to go outside. This is the thing, like, if social media is stopping you from going outside, then you need to make a quick transfer.
Yeah.
Because we live in this state at the moment of hyper realities. What I've realized a lot, it gets reflected politically, where we're fed concentrated versions of existence, or versions of existence specific to areas that we might not even be in. And actually, I find people who are the loudest on these issues aren't even integrating with the existence they're commenting on. So if we look at like the hot button topics, you talk about like immigration, the trans identity, you know, I see these comments on social media underneath videos that are reflective of like a tiny proportion of what's actually happening in life.
Absolutely.
And they're going, oh my, see people going, oh, London these days is a cesspit. I don't know, I'm doing that voice, but London these days is a cesspit. I couldn't go walk through there without being turned Muslim or something. I'm like, boss, you just don't live in London.
Absolutely, man, because I don't see that shit.
You don't live in London, just walk through London.
Exactly.
Like and listen, there'll be conversations to be had locally, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's people being fed this, and you watch that whole video through, and then boom, you're only fed videos to support the idea that you feel, or you think that kids are their minds are being destroyed, or you know, there's all these ideas that kids will be, the perceptions of selves have been, I don't know, it's like really just I think people need to take stock. Look at their local environment, what's happening in your immediate situation, what can you positively affect around you and your people, and I think that's a much better stepping stone.
It's a
than
local
looking at
level
the
thing.
worst example. Yeah, it's like drinking, it's like opening like a Ribena cordial and just drinking out of the bottle and being like, that's so yummy. I wonder why I'm throwing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
man.
it's intense.
Yeah, man. So what's your relationship like with drugs and alcohol now?
I'm sober,
Yeah.
I'm sober. I'm very pro mushrooms.
Yeah.
I think I think there's a lot of research being done at the moment about the positive effects of magic mushrooms. That's the nearest I'll get to conspiracy as to why we don't have a more everyday relationship with psychedelics.
Like, I mean, I'm fascinated by this. You're talking to the right guy, right? Because I've been fascinated by this since I heard Tim Ferriss talk about 8 years ago or something, man.
He puts a lot of money into it as well.
He's a real good believer in it, you know, and he puts his money where his mouth is, you know. But and when I filmed this documentary about addiction, and we part of the documentary we didn't get to put in was I went to the Imperial College and talked to the people who were doing those.
That's what I'm talking about.
Those experiments and they're having like. I think the success rate they've got with treatment-resistant depression, right? So this is people who are in the worst cases of depression, like suicidal, kind of like nothing's working, no drugs are working, right?
Yeah.
They do 2 sessions, 2 sessions with a therapist on psilocybin, and they've got over 70% success rate.
Right.
No, paracetamol doesn't have a 70%
Of course.
success rate. Like this is fucking...
And it's from the fucking earth.
Absolutely.
It
And if
just
you think-
sprouts up.
And also, like, so obviously I've been down rabbit holes of this. Every civilization on Earth, has had a psychedelic experience as part of their...
Listen,
Yeah.
when we're looking at back in the day at these gods, right?
Yeah.
Half man, half bird and all that.
Yeah.
You telling me these men aren't tripping?
So that's where we're going to leave it today. And honestly, I'm really glad we did this cut of the conversation. Listening back to Jordan talk about ADHD, misdiagnosis, self-medicating, coke, modafinil, and the way it all slowly chipped away at parts of him that actually mattered, hits different, right? As did his relationship with social media. It's something we talk about a lot on this podcast. I'm sorry if you find it boring, but it's something that I really care about and I think is massively under-talked about. What I love about Jordan is how clearly he can describe the stuff most of us only feel. The overthinking, the shame, the pushing people away, the stories we tell ourselves about why we need the thing that's hurting us. And also the truth he lands on, that sobriety isn't just about stopping something, it's about finding a version of yourself that isn't powered by panic or chaos or guilt. It's about relearning who you are when the noise stops. I think a lot of people listening will recognize parts of themselves in what he said. I know I did. And as always, thank you for being here with us. If this episode brought something up for you, or you're on your own journey with ADHD, addiction, or rebuilding some part of your life, you're not doing it on your own. We always list trusted services in the show notes. Go take a look. Do let us know in the comments about what part connected with you the most. We read everything, and it generally shapes the conversations we bring to the show. And if you want more episodes like this, have a look through our channel, right? There's loads here that I think you'll find useful. Look after yourself, and I'll see you next time on the Mend.